was funny that when I've seen obviously. Build-A-Bear, but just a couple things. Just to kind of continue that theme, spirit of life. Had obviously some bad news last week or this week with the passing of Pat, and actually later today myself and the four captains and Jay Red are going to pop over to his service. The family's asked me to say a few words, so I'll obviously do that. And it was, Pat's a guy that I met the first time here. Our relationship has grown over the last 5 years, and the guy that obviously loves it all, has done a lot for the program, but the relationships that he built, some of our guys worked out there. I've tried, Alex and I have played phone tag, and I know he's real close with Alex the last couple of days. Santos worked for him as well. Santos made sure he wanted to go, so we adjusted our whole day of practice, moved everything back an hour so we can take advantage of that and give the final respects to Pat, a really, really good man. I do want to clean up also last night. We had some guys stuck on the elevator because of the beauty of social media. I knew it was going to get out there pretty quick. When I was coming down to meetings, I was rushing out of our meetings to watch practice, so it was between our evening practice before our team meeting. I guess Ryan Pulley called it. Ryan was trying to hop on the elevator as well, and he didn't quite make it on. He said, "You all got to get stuck," and that's what happened. Just so everybody has a perspective, this is the first one that's been captured on social media. I would say in my 12 years of head coaching, it's probably my 20th to 30th head coaching experience with a stuck elevator. It happens quite a bit, more than you would think. We tell them, obviously, to not over stuff, but it makes me think all the time. I was a linebacker coach, coordinator at Kansas State, and we had guys come down to snack the night before the game, and we were in a little boutique hotel, and I believe we had almost 18 guys stuck on this little elevator that was jammed for 2 hours. And my will linebacker, who was the leading tackler in the country that year, was claustrophobic on top of it, and can get into a scary situation. All of our guys handled it well last night. Some of them better than others, but we got them out. Everything is fine. Everything's good today. So just address a couple of those things. Saturday, put us in perspective, we'll have a tough, aggressive practice today. We had a good one yesterday. By new NCAA rules, we're allowed 3 days of heavy contact during the course of a work week, so we went yesterday, today, and then we'll go on Saturday. Obviously, we'll open up, especially the back half of the practice on Saturday, which will be some of our ones and twos working, but also developmental work. And we have fan day on Saturday as well, from 4 to 5, I believe, that we're excited. Hopefully, we'll get weather to cooperate with that. But really like where our team's at. They've continued to grow, progress. Kind of divided fall camp into 3 different phases. The first 9 practices were in conjunction with summer school too, so we really had to modify and adjust our schedule as it fit our player schedule with academics. Now we're in a 2-week phase where we're really unlimited by anything other than the NCAA rules, so we don't have class conflicts, don't have guys that have schedules outside of the game of football, and it really allows us to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of fall camp. I've compared it to I've always divided our season up kind of into categories, so we have our first 4 games, 3 of those 4 are non-conference games, they're divided up. Game 5 then starts a 4-game stretch with South Carolina, Alabama, Auburn, and Ole Miss, where we got 4 weeks of SEC grind, kind of like what we're at right now. We're in the grind of fall camp, and in the back half of camp, we'll go 10 days of practice before our opener, kind of like the end of our season, where we have a non-conference game and then 3 weeks of SEC grind. So. Trying to always teach our guys, it's not just the day in front of you, it's how you handle your business today on what can affect you 2 months from now, 3 weeks from now, whatever it is. So I like the way our guys have matured and moved forward. A couple injury-wise, I'm going to run through them. I know you guys always point them out, but unfortunately, guys have gotten injured, but we're really good at getting guys back. Carl Ressler joined us back yesterday, really is full go, no problems. Drake Greenlaw practiced as well the last 2 days. Now, we might monitor or limit him as we go forward, but right now he's full go. B. Martin has had a soft tissue issue with his back, tried to progress him, but wasn't going in a direction, so we gave him a few medical treatments that require him to sit a few days, so he's out right now. Jeremy Patton practiced about half a day yesterday, should be full go, I think, by the weekend. Brito Tut's fully engaged. Will Gregg had a concussion on the end of last week, but is full go. Today he'll be 100% with us. He's practiced the last 2 days in no contact. Dylan Hayes, who got his ankle rolled up on Saturday, is full go again today. Practiced a little bit yesterday. Cole Hedlund's full go. Practiced very, very well yesterday and should go again today and perform well. Armand Watts, who got dinged up obviously at the end of the scrimmage the other day, took a shot to the elbow, was just a bruise, and is back out there going full go. So Jay Red and obviously TJ are still out by NCAA rules, so they and Alexi Baptiste is still recovering from his foot injury, so those guys can't be with us, but are full go progressing, and every indication is Jay Red for sure, and probably TJ should be able to join us as soon as school starts, and TJ may be able to join us for that first game. That's still a little bit up in the air. So,
Good.
what's that? Scuda is 100, not 100%, but his was really kind of a mild MCL. He practiced yesterday limited. Today we'll probably don't know if we'll let him go the full time, but he'll be. I think Saturday should be 100% ready to go.
So Dre, the contact was...
Yeah, Dre's been going all through practice, scout periods, team periods. Again, just from a pure, by his history, I don't know how much we'll go every day with him consistently. May go, during camp, you tend to go a little bit more during the week than you do during game week. Once you get into game week, really Tuesday, Wednesday are tough days, and you have really Monday, Wednesday, or Monday, Thursday, Friday to relieve, to rest, and that's what we're kind of simulating.
What kind of camp does Blake Johnson have? Is he going to be the guy, and how would you describe his journey to get to this point?
Yeah, kind of a neat story of Blake. So Blake was obviously a California kid that we recruited, wanted to get him here on campus, performed well at camp, gave him a scholarship, he committed, and came in, and I did expect him possibly to compete that freshman year. Didn't see the growth of our punter here on campus, Toby, who's doing really, really good for San Diego. So it delayed his involvement, but also allowed him to grow. I think he's a kid physically and mentally needed him to grow a little bit. And since the timeout last spring, I heard you had fun with that, has really been on a path of really, really good. I know on Monday and Tuesday he hit the ball extremely well. I give the specialist Wednesday off. They get a little special treatment on Wednesday to kind of just bring their body back, but it's hitting the ball extremely well, and excited about it to see where it goes. Yeah, he kicked. So he kicked Tuesday, and then today we'll do a double dip. No, I'm sorry. He kicked Monday and Tuesday. Today he'll have a day off, and then Saturday he should be able to see him kick by Saturday.
He's still open.
Yes, it is. I tell Blake Mazza's had a nice camp, so I would say him and Cole battling out for the field goal job, and then Connor Lambert and Mazza are battling out for the kickoff job.
Is Blake being pretty pleased with his consistency?
Probably been the best thing, to be quite honest, is consistency, not only from, a lot of times if he was hot one day, then the next day, but his consistency from day to day to day to day has been good. A lot of times he was, hot and cold day to day, but today, since fall camp started, it's been very hot.
With your running backs, it was Devois and then David, and Devois and Malik, Devois and Chase. You got so many talented guys. I mean, what do you want to see when the season starts?
Well, again, probably just like every position, consistency, but I would be the first to probably tell you that since fall camps arrived, has had the biggest change within our program, just because you added the depth of David Williams, and you brought Chase in, who you knew was good off film, but you don't know till they get here. Malik was involved in the spring. So first off, Devois has done a lot of really good things to get to where he is. I think the applied pressure of David Williams and Chase and Malik has helped him realize, like, I am not the man, all by myself. If I want carries, I got to earn them. So he's been really, really good. He's been locked in, been phenomenal since fall camp started. He's probably been one of the greatest assets to David. I'll let David answer that, but it seems like David and him are always talking, always conversing about football and where we're going. David, on Saturday night, I texted him, it was about 8:30. I was watching some of the inductee speeches and just hit him and said, hey, how'd your first couple of carries as a Razorback live field? And he said, great, I was trying to press the envelope. He wanted to make a big splash, and really the only two negative plays he had were some third and shorts that he tried to turn into home runs. And hey, those home runs will come, just play the play. And couldn't be more happy with him. Toughness, physicality, run performance, but also block protection. He's got soft hands. Malik has been good, but I think the biggest surprise has been Chase. Not a surprise, I shouldn't say that. The best new news would be Chase is, I'm sure a lot of you saw that play. I mean, to me, the definition of a great running back is when you can make something out of nothing, better than a quarterback, right? When it breaks down, what are they going to do? And Chase has the ability to make something out of nothing in a hurry. He's got a great acceleration. He's a tough kid. He's not real big, which behind big linemen works advantageous that you can't really see when he's coming out and he comes out in a hurry. So those guys in particular, and then you throw Kendrick Jackson, Hayden Johnson, and then fullback, it's a good group.
Is that the guy that you would eventually add more weight to, or you don't mess with him, or how do you approach that?
No, you're talking Chase Hayden?
Chase Hayden.
Okay. You know, when I know you guys don't see him, but, you know, when he takes his pads off and he walked through today, I mean, he's fairly chiseled up, and, you know, I don't know what thickness brings him, other than the fact that during time here, he will put on weight and he'll get thicker and become more athletic, but I've been very impressed with his toughness and his strength. I mean, he I think is one of those guys that maybe doesn't want to be labeled as a small back or a bouncer or an outside runner. He's been very, very productive between the tackles as well.
How do you feel about the backup offensive line?
Backup offensive line, always want to be better. I think that as a whole, our offensive line at times has shown there's been great progress. And, you know, our twos are a little bit of a work in progress in the fact that we're trying to solidify who it is. We're giving some of the younger guys a couple opportunities, moving some guys around. Jake Rawlson literally can go from tackle to tackle with the twos and be very, very good. Zach Rogers is a little bit ambidextrous too. He can be center and guard. Jalen Merrick has played both tackle and guard, so it's more about, I would say, Nate, probably trying to find our top 7 or top 8. You know, our best swing tackle, our best swing guard, and our best third center. And go from there.
Aside from those three, who's really competing
For
for kind of backup roles?
I'd say a tackle, Paul Ramirez, Dalton Wagner, Jalen Merrick, and then Jalen's in discussion at guard. Obviously Jake Rawlerson. You know, the thing about Jake, you know, I don't know if he's 25 pounds heavier, 20 pounds heavier than when he first got here. You know, when he first got here, he was underdeveloped, you know, and he just hadn't developed the way that I think a fourth-year player in college football should be, and he had to rely on just trying to survive. A lot of times when kids don't have confidence to play physically the way they need to, they revert to trying to put a Band-Aid, they try to position or get in a way or revert to some things to survive, and once you have enough power and strength in our program, you don't have to do those things. And on Saturday, I saw him revert back. So all this week, I've been hammering about, listen, bro, you put on 20 pounds, you got great strength, you got great mobility, flexibility, and power. Use them. You don't have to put a Band-Aid on this anymore. So I would say those three are probably the best.
Kid Kyle story, his moment
Yeah.
yesterday.
So what I did is, some of you may or may not, I don't know if it was written about, but so I went to Paul really after Saturday's scrimmage, and, you know, again, Austin performed very well. And what I did at halftime is I wanted to let Austin take a seat, but more than anything, I wanted to let Cole and Ty both have 2 opportunities with a 1-0 line. I knew I was going to get 4 series. They didn't really do anything to separate themselves with those 4 series. So I told Paul, let's look at Tuesday and Wednesday. We had 2 mirrored practices. Let's give each one of those guys their day as a number 2. So yesterday was Ty's day as the number 2. Cole didn't take any reps. He just basically observed unless the 3s went. Also took all the 1s, and Ty performed very, very well. Did some good things. Obviously things that you can always improve upon, but I thought he overall handled the day well. He got the flow. The thing I love about Ty, in a little bit of a sense, that he's a lot like Austin. He does what you ask him to do. He's going to play within the system. He manages the game. He's got a football sense. You know what pops in his background. He's an absolutely great kid. The kids love him. So that's there. I think Cole brings you know, a different set of strengths. He's probably got the livest arm out of the group, which can be good and bad if you use it right. He's got to play within what we're asking, but I am very excited. I just saw him walking off the field and said, "You ready?" And he just was smiling ear to ear, so I think he's eager to show today as well.
Kind of a multi-part question based on the new NCAA camp rules. How many extra days of practice did you add to get into 29? And then will you have any double days where you have a super light walkthrough workout? And then do you like the new rules?
Yeah, so great question. If I don't remember them all in order, but so really ever since I became a coach, the standard normal rule has been 29 days, right? So that's never really wavered. I literally went back in my 11 years prior to this year as a head coach. I had never used all 29 days ever in my entire time. I would think we polled our coaches, and there are very few coaches that even said the same thing. You know, it's usually somewhere around that 25 to 27. So what I did is I took X number of days back from our first game, which is on Thursday, which is the way the NCAA rule kind of lays it out. You could count back, and I counted back, giving everybody I'm a big believer in, you know, the day off. For us during the non-school year is Sunday. I want to give everybody the Lord's Day off, have guys go a chance to go to church. As long as there's not the element of the game on Saturday, to me, the best day of rest is Sunday. So we've always given our guys Sunday off, and that even goes back to my past history the last 11 years. But on Sundays, what we had done is we may have brought them over to Lift, brought them over and met with them. We would have fan day, we would have family day, we would have a media day with you guys. That got eliminated by this new rule. The only thing you can do by rule now is bring them over and make them get treatments if they're injured. You can make them have a meal, or do anything that's promoting the health of their body, right? What I've done is I've kind of said, this is your day off, my friend, right? If you're injured, I want you to come over, but the day is yours. We have soft tissue scheduled for an hour and a half. If they want to come over, they can. I schedule no meals. They get more than enough meals. They got the Jones Center, they got Red Card, which allows them to go around town, and then we provide them enough money in their scholarship checks that's not an issue. So their day, they have a day to themselves. They want to do whatever they got to do. Some guys might live an hour away from home and go home. So that's what we've done. I have 29 scheduled practices from the time we started on that Thursday to the time that we played on that Thursday against FAMU. Every day is slotted for 29 practices, right, with the days off that I have on Sunday. I don't intend to use every one of them. When I feel we need a break, I might pocket it, and then I have one day to play with. I wouldn't expect me to pocket more than 1 to 2, but we'll see how that plays out. The new rules are the new rules. I don't tend to comment whether I like them or don't like them. I just live by them. It's kind of like everything else in life. Just show me the rules and I'll play by them, and we'll make it work from there. And I think that's part of that, selling the kids, you know. As coaches, I remember 3 days. I remember days when we would go on the field at 7 a.m. and stay till 7 p.m. and never leave. I sound like one of those old school coaches, but it's true. And the guys that I heard from when I was a player used to say things. So it's just kind of the way we live now, and it's what it is.
So you won't have a double day unless it's one of those
It's
pockets?
illegal.
Well, you can have a light walkthrough.
Well, we do that. So, all right, so like today, it's not a double day. Give me trouble. All right, so this morning, they came over at 8 o'clock. I had them from PBR from 8 to 8:15. 8:15 to 9:15, there were OD meetings. We blow the horn. They got 10 minutes to transition to a special teams walk. I had them from 9:25 to 9:35. From 9:35 to 10 o'clock, they have an OD walk for 25 minutes. And then at 10 o'clock, we have a brunch. Brunch till 1:30, all right, so they get a 3.5 hour break. They're allowed to go do whatever they want to do. Guys that are injured will get rehab. We'll bring them back over this afternoon. They'll have a taping session where they get taped in flights. And then we'll have another special teams meeting for 15 minutes, a half-hour OD meeting. We'll transition them for 15 minutes, and then we'll have a 15-minute pre-practice workout and a 23-period practice. We'll give them an hour and a half break. I always give them an hour and a half break, barring any delays due to elevator failure. And we give them an hour and a half, and then in the evening, at the end of an hour and a half, we come in and have a team meeting. I have them for half an hour, so I'll express my views. Last night, Coach Enos gave about a 10-minute presentation on life motivation. I give every one of my 9 assistants an opportunity to address the entire team during the next 2 weeks. Dan did a Tyson video last night. It was pretty cool. Talked about some things he's learned in his life, and it's really cool for me to watch our defensive players respond to Dan. Paul will give a message tonight, and we'll work our way through the staff.
Richard, you're pretty well known for having an affinity for walk-ons, your background. What do you think about the guys like A-Rich who are on scholarship? As long as there are guys like Graham Morgan who are looking for good walk-ons. What do you think about the walk-ons?
Well, the NCAA allows you to have 85 scholarship players, you know. I wish that number would bump because I think it's an outdated number. We went through this period where it was unlimited, then it got restricted due to budgets, and now I think we're in that period where we kind of need to jump into 90 again, because I think it would really help things out. But we got to work off that 85 number. Now the NCAA is also, there's this whole thing about if you recruit them, you can't put them on because they count as initial, and we're out of initials, so even if I had a scholarship right now, I can't give one a grant because we recruited him. So there's all these dynamics, but when that day comes, it's a day that I absolutely, probably one of the most enjoyable professional days of my life, when you get to give a kid a scholarship. I remember when I told Kay Ridge he got a scholarship. I remember when I've been able to reward Reed Miller, Carl Ressler. In the past, I'm the specialist. There's a kid named Ricky Wagner who was a free agent this year in the NFL, and I remember we recruited him out of high school. He played 2 years of high school football. He's a 6'5", 230-pound tight end, and ended up getting drafted in the 5th round. And last year, signed a contract for I believe $9 million a year. And to call him and talk about his progress from the day when he sat on my couch. And I remember when I gave him a scholarship, he cried like is the most I've ever seen a player cry. So those moments are very special. They're very cool. Probably a long answer to your question, but it's so rewarding. And I don't just give them out now. Anybody that gets one, I'm not, it's not like I'm handing them out just to feel good. I've really literally given one scholarship during my entire coaching career. That was just we had one left over, and the person had a great story.
But as far as the contribution to the walk-on, the guys on your team.
Yeah, well, it's paramount. Ryder Lucas last year, who's a walk-on defensive back from Texas, when we went and statistically broke down our special teams last year and compared them to statistical analysis from other SEC football teams, he was one of the most productive special teams players in the entire conference, just for number of snaps played and his production on every play. So there's a case in point of a guy that, even though a lot of people don't know him right now, he's as deserving of scholarship as anybody.
From classes start, and assuming Montero arrives, are you at the age of 5?
With him in it. Yeah, so I've reserved one. That's a great question. So that's a great question, right? So when you recruit a student athlete or in our state, right, for instance, like even people that are very close to our program, even possibly right down the road, that you aren't quite sure if they're going to make it academically, you have to make a decision how many of those guys can you recruit. So if you decide you're going to take 3 academic at-risk guys and all 3 make it, and you were only counting on one of them to make it, you got a problem. If you count on all 3 of them make it and none of them make it, now you're 3 deficient, now you got a problem. So I think there's a working number there that the NCAA could probably help us out a lot, but it's very difficult, because I'm a big believer too. So, Jeremy Patton came to us supposedly as an at-risk student, right, a non-qualifier out of high school. Took a little bit longer to get here than we wanted. Took, I believe, 2 summer school courses, and then there's 1 summer school course. Not like 90%. He scored 100%, and he was beaming ear to ear when he was telling me this. And to know that a kid, we're not doing their work. We're giving them support. We're giving them a formula. We're giving them the tools to have success. And when kids see that and flourish, a lot of times it carries them into so many other areas of their life. It's unbelievable. Saw the feedback yesterday with obviously a quarterback on the West Coast made a couple comments about academics and football don't fit. I think that's, for wherever they're at, that might work. For me, it's a premium, There's so many times where maybe a kid doesn't have academic success and he's a mediocre player, but all of a sudden, great academic success correlates to great athletic success, and vice versa. It's one of the greatest things we have going in this world of college athletics.
You got some, go.
Development of nose tackle and the importance of that position in the 3-4.
Yeah.
Can you play several or is?
Great question. I think probably on Sunday we had a 3-hour personnel meeting, and that was the one position. Now I was a former nose guard, so I'm a little biased. Walk on and a nose guard. I'm biased to big people that are slow. But that position, Bijan we knew was going to be all right. Capper had done some really good things. But to throw Dylan Hayes into that mix, each one of those 3 guys probably are, I think, you could say they're a 25 rep guy in the game day, but if you ask them to do 50, you're going to have diminishing returns. Those 3 guys, Bijan, Austin Capps, and Dylan Hayes, those 3 kind of complement each other really well, and to me, form a pretty good group of nose guards. And what I've witnessed and seen in this league is when you got 2 guys, it's a good thing, but if you got 3, you got something special, and I think those 3 form that task pretty good.
You've got some inexperience, talking about game inexperience, at different positions.
Right.
But how would you sum up kind of the talent, the potential that you feel you have at this spot?
Again, good point. I do believe this, all right? So in fall camp, for those guys that don't have that game experience, the more I can put the heat on them, the more we can put the screws to them and stress them, the better off we're going to be. So we've really tried to do that with practice as well as this Saturday. You never know how they're going to handle the moment till the moment is there. So we're going to try to prep them, but we stress them. We try to have a lot of our older players. I've asked them to, when they give player talks, to talk about that, to make sure that they try to get ready. But you know, my old coach Hayden Fry always used to try and say that we want to make Monday to Friday as hard as possible. So Saturday is as easy as it can get, because we all know it's difficult. But we just keep preaching. It's not what happens during the course of the game. It's how you react to it and see what happens.
But you have a feeling that a lot of newcomers are going to
I do, just by pure numbers, you know. Defensively, we got a bunch of guys, even if they haven't played, if it's their first time playing, they haven't played a lot, you know, like TJ Smith, case in point, traveled, went to every game, he could be a potential starter for us, you know. Scooter played a little bit more at the end of the year than not. Then you have some raw guys like a Hayden Henry, you got guys like Cameron Curl, you got guys Kyrie Fisher, you have guys up front, Jonathan Marshall, who redshirted last year, has never played. There's going to be a lot of guys playing significant time that, you know, Gabe Richardson, a junior college player, even Randy Ramsey, who we like what he does. Randy hasn't played a tremendous amount of football for us, even though he's a fourth-year player, you know. So it's going to be, our back end is heavily loaded, but up front defensively and offensively, you know, you got a running back, even though he's never played here, you know, David Williams has played a lot of football. Austin and Frank played a lot of football. Yoda's played a lot of football. B. Walls played a lot of football. Austin Kentrell played a lot of football. Jay Rich played a lot of football. So there's 6 or 7 guys offensively that at least we know we can hang our hat on, have done it. Now we got to keep bringing those other guys. We've kind of coded those guys out. I had our coaches go through and label green, yellow, red. Green are guys that have done it, proved it, and can show us. Yellow, we got to proceed with caution. We know they can do it, but we don't want to throw them into the mix until they're ready or they're prepared. And then red means we got a lot of work to do, and obviously a little bit on both sides of the ball.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.